Hello everyone, welcome back to my reaction / analysis of the Chaotix Casefiles. Again, I'm recording these in bulk, so I still don't know how I'm going to be editing these, hopefully in a way that's entertaining enough for you guys. But let's get right into episode 2, the case of High Stakes Heist, of the High Stakes Heist. I didn't know the Babylon Rogues were in this. That's interesting, that's new to me. So let's get right into it.
You said you had more to your story, yes?
Well, yeah. A lot more.
Then get on with it! You were tracking a thief who was stealing ancient artifacts. A professor from Spagonia U hired your agency to find said thief. You heard about another theft perpetrated by Rouge the Bat.
Something right off the bat, and something that I didn't really talk about because it's kind of not super relevant for episode 1, but that I think is interesting now. He specifically says who the professor is, right? He says that it's Professor Tori from Spagonia University. Eggman calls it Spagonia U, which suggests a familiarity with Spagonia University. Why wouldn't he be familiar with it? But he says an archaeologist or a professor. He doesn't mention her by name, right? You would think that someone like Eggman would know at least who Professor Tori is, right? Especially if she's as, like, renowned in her, like, Tails was geeking out about her, right? You would think that he would be aware of someone like that. And the reason I am subscribing to the conspiracy theory, or maybe not conspiracy theory, but the theory that people have that she is a Robotnik and that she is at least somewhat related to the Robotniks. I am subscribing to that theory as well. And I think that this lends some sort of credence to it, where it's just like he doesn't recognize the name. He doesn't, like, because this may be a character that he doesn't know exists. Like, he may not know that Tori is a thing or who Tori is. He just hears it as like, okay, who? I don't know who this Professor Victoria is. So, and it turns out they're cousins.
So, as I was saying, we've just been handed a brand new lead. The Chaotix office had a rhythm all its own. The rattly ceiling fan, the squeaky chairs, the slow crumbling of the foundation. Other people called it loud and distracting and a series of code violations. But it was Rouge
stole a different astroscopic lens? Well, I thought she only liked jewels.
Hey, don't forget, Charmy. It might not even be Rouge. We're dealing with a thief who pretends to be other people. What's your take, SP? Boys, we are in the wrong line of work.
Agreed.
The dame coming at us didn't look rich.
The dame.
We could have passed her on the street and thought her nothing more than a blue-haired little old lady on her way to play bingo. Never cared for bingo myself. One little old lady screaming,
I won it fair and square in a chow race some time ago. Oh? Then yesterday, that prissy little bat broke in and just took it without so much as a please or a thank you or an I'll be stealing your trophy now, ma'am, if you don't mind. Look,
were your security people working when the theft took place?
my security... Oh, you mean those soldiers? No, they just showed up this morning. I don't even know why they're here, come to think of it.
That is suspicious, isn't it?
The thing Charmy held in his tiny fist was unmistakable. A brilliant green feather.
Where did you find that?
Up in the skylight.
Only one person we know has feathers like that, and enjoys committing grand larceny.
It's Jet, right? It is Jet, isn't it? Did I get confused again?
Charmy wasn't confused. That feather had to belong to Jet the Hawk, along with Wade the Swallow and Storm the Albatross. They made up a notorious band of speed-obsessed goons called the Babylon Rogues. And the only thing they loved more than extreme gear racing was supreme gem chasing.
That does look like Jet's feather. But since when do the rogues use disguises?
That's a valid point. But this lead is too good to ignore. Charmy, are the rogues racing anywhere right now?
Let me look. Let's see. Gear? Rogues? No.
It's on a phone.
Did I ever tell you guys that? Sometimes I'll search for fun stuff like B and Best Detective and Who Is and What's up?
Charmy.
Yes!
We're at an event.
Ooh, hear that? They need to talk to us. What's the going rate for a conversation these days, Wave?
Doesn't matter, Jet. From the look of them, they couldn't even afford breakfast.
Shit.
What makes you think we were involved in this burglary? We found a feather. See?
Oh, that's one of yours, ain't it, Jet? Ow!
Oh,
Wave, why'd you kick me?
I have to say, it is so weird, and this goes back to Crossworlds, but it is so weird to hear Fred Tatasciore in a Sonic game. This is a complete tangent. This is a mini tangent, but Fred Tatasciore is a very prolific voice actor who has been around for decades, dude. You've definitely heard his voice in other cartoons before. He primarily voices like really, really big characters. Like the one that I'm thinking about mostly is like Solomon Grundy from the Batman Arkham, I think it was Arkham City that he's in. But I know he's also been like the Hulk. He's also been, I think he was Bane in Arkham Asylum too. He's just been in way too many things that like I can't even rack my brain for specific characters that he's done. But he's a name that I've known for a really, really long time. So when I found out that he was voicing Storm in Crossworlds, I was like, oh my god, like jeez. And it makes sense for his character because Storm is like a big dude who has like that sort of deep voice that he's very well known for doing. And it's just still weird to me to hear him do a Sonic character.
Hey! Race! You can do it, Vector. Here, I'll fly up to the mic and do commentary.
Oh, dude.
I don't mind admitting I felt out of my element climbing onto that gear. If it was a car race, that'd be another thing entirely.
Sure.
But Jet was a champion extreme gear racer. On the one hand, it didn't seem fair. But on the other hand, life ain't fair.
Come on, bro.
Especially when you're a hard...
Vector, lean into those winter shins, drill around the turnbuckle, burnish the gangplanks. You don't know anything about gear racing, do you? Nope.
Nope. Never been on one.
How do you even know about this?
SBO filled me in later, of course.
Oh, right.
A detail I was going to give you in due time. Unless you want me to rush this story.
Yes, Sonic, enlighten us. Are you anxious for Vector to wrap things up?
Oh, hey! Now that you mention it, I do find it's best to give stories room to breathe. Please, Vector, carry
Agreed.
on.
SBO, you might have startled me if I hadn't heard your clunky footsteps a mile away.
Oh, Karen Strassman's doing a
clunky.
deeper
I've been
voice.
practicing non-clunky footsteps my whole life.
If you say so. In fact, I planted that hawk feather to throw you guys off, so I'd have time to do some unbothered snooping. Not that you've got any evidence here of anything.
You planted the feather?
Why would
Did
she
you realize
give
how
up that
much time
information?
we've wasted thanks to your little prank?
Well,
Yeah, that was the
maybe I
idea.
can make it up to you. How about you and I get together for a little stealthy adventuring later? Just the
Hey,
two
yo.
of us.
Hey, yo.
What?
Yeah, it's looking pretty grim for Vector.
Yeah, 'cause he's so slow.
The fake announcers weren't wrong. I tried my best, but Jet may not have seen the truck veering blindly into his path, but I did. And while I might have lost the race, I could still save a life. Putting everything I had into it,
I saw that truck, you know, in plenty of time. I just let you act like you saved my life to make you feel better.
Get your story straight, 'cause
Jet said he talked if Vector could beat him, and Vector couldn't beat him, but he saved Jet's life, and Jet says the rogues didn't steal the lens thingy.
Huh. Noted. You're not hurt then, Vector.
just slower than I'd like.
Just my ego.
Well, I don't believe it was rude. It galls me to admit it, but I find her stealth impressive. I'm not sure even I could have disappeared like that. Hey!
What? What's wrong?
She took one of my kunai. How?
Of course she did.
One of my ninja throwing darts gone, just like that.
Now you're gonna get
She
framed.
replaced it with a note?
Here, let me see that. It says, you boys should probably check out the museum at Spiral Hill. If you can get there fast enough.
Spiral Hill.
You realize you're giving me hives here, right? Talking about a speed contest and leaving me out of it?
Yeah, well, you were very much not there when it happened, son.
Right.
So I don't know what you think I can do about it.
Never mind all that. What was it about Spiral Hill? Or why did the impertinent bat want you to go there?
Yeah, it's a good story, isn't it? I've even got the notorious Dr. Eggman hooked.
The
Hell yeah.
notorious Dr. Eggman will drop you off a cliff if you don't get on with it. I need to know more about these ancient lenses.
All right, keep your mustache on. We're just about to get to a really good part, involving a couple of friends of ours, Tango and Whisper.
Dude, okay, I think I feel much like Eggman did at the end of that, right? Where like I'm very hooked on what's happening. There was very little I could say during that whole thing because I'm just so focused on what's being said and the actual story, right? And it's well written, it's well performed. Like I said, I have the same opinion that I do in episode 1, where it's just like I'm just so captivated, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's very, very well done. Especially, I think that Karen Strassman's performance as Rouge is definitely a highlight in terms of what this is doing right. Because for a long time, we've also said that her performance as Rouge is a little wonky in that, like, sometimes it sounds too high-pitched. It doesn't sound sultry enough the way that Rouge, originally was and the way a lot of people know her. I think that this was excellent voice direction, because they really emphasize, go a little deeper and speak in a bit more of a seductive voice, right? Like it's still her kind of normal Rouge voice, but it's less like this, and it's definitely more grounded. And I really, really like the performance. I think that this is her best performance as Rouge so far. You'll have to see more Babylon Rogue stuff outside of, their interactions with Sonic. I like to see how they interact with Vector. I like to see how the Chaotix barely interact with them as a whole, but with Vector, it is very interesting. The development of this case and knowing that Rouge is perhaps tangentially evolved, something that I noticed early on and that I thought, like, yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? Because she works with Gunn when it suits her or when it's convenient for her. I do understand that. But you would think that if there was some involvement here that they would know at the least, right? Like that they would be aware that Rouge is the person that's stealing these artifacts. So I'm sure that she's also sort of investigating it, possibly with Gunn, I don't know. But I don't think that she's involved in as far, obviously she can't be. There's no way that she's involved in as far as the actual theft goes. But it is interesting. Like I love the idea of her being like, not just a rival treasure hunter to other characters, but a rival detective to the Chaotix, right? Like, I think that that's a very interesting dynamic. And the weird, like, tension between Rouge and Espio, that was... that's a dynamic that I think is very interesting. And it kind of makes sense, too, because, like, yeah, they are about stealth. They are about, like, in the same way that she's related to Knuckles in terms of treasure hunting. She's related to Shadow in terms of, like, their overall schemes to save the world, She's related to Espio in as far as stealth is concerned, right? And she could, technically with Vector too, there's a parallel with Vector in terms of her detective skills and her, affinity for money, or technically it's different because for Vector it is more about money precisely because he's broke, whereas for Rouge it's more about jewels, not money necessarily. It's a very, very interesting dynamic, one that I really like. Again, the Chaotix as forces in this episode, it was so much more about how they fit episodically as like, oh, this is just what happens in this episode, right? Like, and it's the comedics of it. But it's still appreciated, right? Because it still feels like something is happening. He is trying to get information out of the Babylon Rogues, information that they don't have, right? Ultimately, it does result in, like, yeah, we were honest. Like, we had nothing to do with it, and which Rouge confirms, right? And so while it is technically, you could see it as a side piece where it's like, okay, really nothing happened here other than like you saved his life. It's something that is still fun enough that it feels like it's not out of place for a show like this, because something is still being done, right? Like the reason for the race was not for nothing. It was to see if he could get information out of them. He just didn't happen to, right? But that doesn't mean that we didn't get anything. That doesn't mean that this was a complete waste of time. Rouge showed up, talked to SBO, and gave him that information. Because it's a cool way of doing it, right? Like, of course they're going to race if it's the Babylon Rogues. Of course they're going to. And they're not going to be just talking to each other throughout the whole race. So I think that it's smart to have something else happening on the sidelines, with SBO, with Rouge, and her causing a diversion with that green feather is interesting, because it's just like, okay, well, what is your involvement in this? Like, why are you misdirecting us? What are you making time for, right? When he said Spiral Hill, I was like, I don't know that that's a level in Sonic, because I feel like I would recognize that right away. It's because it's in the comics. Spiral Hill Village is a location that Tangle and or is it the hometown of Tangle and Jewel, the Beetle, whom I do not know. That is a name that I have never seen before. But that's from the IDW comics. So it's somewhere that if you read the comics, Spiral Hill. That was like already your alarm bells were going off like, oh my god, what? But obviously they ended up with friends of ours, Tangle and Whisper. And for those that know these characters, that's exciting. For me, it's just like, oh, cool. Okay, this is the first time I'm getting to know anything about them. So join me, if you will, for episode 3, in which I discover more about these fan favorite characters that increasingly looks like they're going to make their debut in a mainline game very soon. And I kind of hope they do, right? I kind of hope that they do slowly incorporate these characters, but I just want them to do it right. And I know that they're probably not going to, and that sucks, because it's just like, okay, you can't pretend like people who only play the games know all the stuff that happens in the comics, right? Like, you can't just introduce these characters as if they've always been there, because canonically, sure, they have been, but when you only focus on one medium, and especially when you can only focus on one medium, right? Like, I've talked about this before, but the comics are not easily accessible everywhere. So it's like, if you're in a country where you exclusively play the games and you have no access to the comics, it's going to be very confusing, right? Unfortunately, for episode 3 and for this series, neither here nor there. I'm going into this. This is the first time that they've ever been voiced by anybody. That's exciting too. And I think that cements that they are going to have a presence in the future. They're not just cast for no reason, right? They're not just incorporated into this series for no reason. I do believe there is a reason that we're focusing so much on Tangle and Whisper as DLC in Crossworlds, as characters in the Chaotix Casefiles, and especially, which is an audio drama specifically for characters that have never had a voice before. It speaks to something larger, and I think that compounded with what I was talking about in the last episode with Tori, right? Being someone who they're also really only hinting at. I think it could be a good opportunity to incorporate them again in a future project, right? And make them bigger forces in this universe. But yeah, we'll find out more about that in episode 3. Thank you guys so much for watching, for joining me on this. Hopefully you are finding this series of my reaction/analysis interesting. And I will see you guys for episode 3, 4, 5, and beyond. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay awesome. This is Char5, signing off.